We're celebrating 20 years of Spinnin', an era full of great artists, consecutive highlights, and memorable music. Because of this huge milestone, we asked our DJs to share their Spinnin' stories. In this episode, Sam Feldt.
I discovered Spinnin Records, I think maybe 10 years ago already, coming up as a producer and looking at the better labels or the biggest labels out there. I think it was always a dream to get signed by Spinnin, and I tried for many years. And then eventually, after trying for 5 years, I got a reply. I was like, wow, this is the best day of my life. So yeah, I immediately got in touch and here we are. So when I first sent in my demos, there wasn't such a thing as a talent pool yet. I'm talking 10 years ago, 9 years ago. Through a connection, Jay Hardway, that just got signed to Spinnin back then, I managed to get an A&R's email. I think back then it was Robert who sent me the first replies, and they weren't good. That actually helped me to become the producer I am today. You know, I spent many years, and especially those years, perfecting my sound and really finding my sound. And then when I got signed, luckily it was with a track that I still completely believe in.
Sam's first track that got signed on Spinnin Records was a remix for Naxos, New Orleans, a track that still sounds super fresh these days.
When I first started as a DJ, I was around 11 years old and I had my own drive-in show. So we're talking 16 years ago. And already back then, I remember that Spinnin was a big name. When I was 17, I started DJing again, and that was really when Spinnin had peak time. Almost every big release from the clubs was a Spinnin release. You know, you got the bingo players with Throttle and stuff. I still remember all those releases. And that also made me look up to Spinnin a lot. It was always one of the labels that I would, die to sign with. Then eventually it happened. Show Me Love is a bit of a weird story. I was bored looking on YouTube and I stumbled upon this great vocal by Kimberly Ann singing this rendition of Show Me Love in her bedroom. And I thought, okay, this is so different from the original. I think I can really make something cool with this. So I got in touch with her, got the stems, made Show Me Love, the original mix. And I think we released it in January, and I think it peaked at 12 in the Beatport chart. Went down and I thought that was it. And then in May I got a call. We licensed it out to a couple of big partners and it's gonna go on radio, and we got a big push around it. Went to number, I think, 3 in the UK singles charts in the first week. So like crazy stuff like that started to happen. And then EDX topping it off with his remix and completely dominating the clubs with it. I think it was the perfect combination between radio and club music. So Show Me Love really affected my career. It allowed me to play in all these places that I never believed were possible. Before that, I'd only played in the Netherlands, very small shows, and then I have my own USA tour. I'm going through to Australia, and I think it really opened up doors for me, and also allowed me to create the profile and the streaming fan base that I have right now. So I'm very grateful for that track. So for a very long time, DJing and producing was a hobby. I was earning some money with it, but not enough to sustain my life. And I think the moment when I got my record deal with Spinnin, it was the first time I really believed it was possible to make a career out of this that could actually become my job. And now with the exposure and the reach that Spinnin had, I was able to put my music on a big platform.
We can say that this DJ thing for Sam is a job now. The last few years, this guy has developed himself from a bedroom producer to a man that sets goals and is always searching for opportunities.
Yeah, so my sound, I don't know how you want to call it, I just call it Sam Feldt music. At the beginning it didn't have a name. The name Tropical House wasn't even a thing, and I just called it Deep House or Melodic Deep House. And even before that, under my different name, I made anything from jump style to EDM to like the loudest music you can think about. So I really had a musical journey, and I think the sound I made back then isn't tropical house. It was the sound that comes from my heart. You know, that's also why I call my whole umbrella brand Heartfelt, and my community as well, because I'd been trying to make music for so long, never got any success, and then when I did it from my heart and made the music that I would want to listen to myself, that's actually when the success came and I got signed to Spinnin. So if you look at my discography over the years, you can see that I've collaborated with a lot of Spinnin artists, and I think that's also one of the things they're good at, you know, facilitating the creative process, putting people together. You know, when you're stuck with a song, the A&R can help you find, you know, someone to collaborate with, or even just give you a few tips and tricks to take the song to the next level. So yeah, I'm just very happy with the creative guidance that I've gotten, and it allowed me to really evolve my sound. The Sam Feldt branding and profile got started really basically. I was literally in front of my PC registering for a SoundCloud account, and I didn't have a name and I didn't have a logo. So I looked around and saw that German deep house DJs were really successful. So I literally typed into Google German last names, scrolled down, and I saw Feldt. My real name is Sam, so I put the 2 and 2 together and registered the account, and that's what I stuck with ever since. So while it looks like there's a lot of time and effort put in, back then it wasn't, and even I made my logo back then by myself, and it also I think 5 minutes, and I'm still using that logo. Well, a lot has changed from that moment. I now have my own art director that I work actively together with to create my visuals, my visual identity, artworks for my tracks, my radio shows. And coming from a design background, I used to be a web designer and developer for much of my youth. I love, you know, the visual part of the song, making you know, audio visual and visual audio, and making two together, because I think visually art and digital design can really strengthen the emotions that you can feel with a song.
Down for anything. So down, 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 down for anything. I'm down, 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 down for anything. Down for anything.
It literally has been a roller coaster ride with ups and downs, you know, with big hits, and also sometimes tracks that we had very big expectations of but didn't really work out. And I think that's also the cool thing of it. You never know what you're gonna get. For example, Post Malone, my recent track, was the last track of a 6-track EP. So we didn't really expect that to happen, and also with Show Me Love, when we put it out, we never knew it was going to grow so big, and I think that's the cool thing of it. So I think Spinnin's greatest achievement is they've been able to establish themselves, maintain relevant for 20 years, you know, still dominating the charts, especially the dance charts, and also building up a brand with the iconic ass that everybody recognizes, and also has become kind of a seal, a stamp of quality in the dance music industry.
Spent the summer on you.
What's up, Spinnin? Sam Feldt here. Congrats with 20 years of Spinnin Records. Happy to have been a part of your family for 5 years already, and to many more years in the future.